All right, welcome back. We're back in session. Sorry for the technical difficulty. And that would take us back to the item on the MSR review policies. Jennifer?
I should be sharing my screen up there. Is it not?
CMAP, can you,
I can see your screen, Jennifer.
CMAP, can you share Zoom, please?
Are we ready to start? Yeah, okay. So this item is the draft municipal service review policies that are in your packet. These are a proposal. I'm here for feedback and comment. If there's anything you'd like to have edited prior to consideration, let me know. And the intent is to bring this back at the October meeting for adoption and incorporation into the guidelines and policies. So first we have, I'm going to skim through and focus on the most important items. Obviously, they're titled, you have the purpose, the policy statement, and the frequency and scope. Down at 2.10.4 is the state, the 0.4, back up just a little bit, yeah. These items are state mandated determinations, so every MSR must have this content and determinations included. But the very last one, G, on the next page, is any other matter related to effective or efficient service delivery as required by commission policy. And that's where the commission has the flexibility to adopt policies that are specific to local needs. So I am proposing under 2.10.5, other matters related to effective and efficient service delivery. This would be additional content, or in some cases, really just expanding on content that already needs to be there. 3 different topics. One is agricultural and open space conservation. That's A. B is governance structure and alternatives. And C, consistency with land use planning. So for A, the agricultural and open space conservation, we've already adopted a pretty significant agricultural preservation policies. So we want to ensure that the MSRs and any proposals for boundary changes are compliant with those policies. So first would be considering how service delivery patterns and agency boundaries support or conflict with the preservation of ag lands and open space resources. And the second item is MSRs shall evaluate whether service extensions are consistent with LAFCO policies on orderly growth and agricultural land conservation. For B, for the governance structure and alternatives, the commission will assess whether the current governance of an agency promotes accountable, cost-effective, and sustainable service delivery. And MSRs may identify potential governance alternatives such as consolidations, dissolutions, subsidiary districts, et cetera, when warranted by efficiency or accountability concerns. And then the next one, consistency with land use planning. The commission will review the relationship between agency service plans and local land use planning documents, including general plans and specific plans. And MSR shall identify any inconsistencies that may affect the orderly provision of services, growth management, or preservation of community character. So these are where you should focus your review and any comments, because this is where we have the latitude to, or discretion to adopt items that are specific to San Benito. Let's see here, and 2.10.6, information and agency cooperation. It's already outlined in government code, but this is just to reiterate that the local agencies are expected to cooperate with requests for information, et cetera, during the MSR process. And then 2.10.7, in the interest of ensuring the public participates in the MSR process, we have to ensure that draft MSRs will be circulated for public review prior to consideration, and that the commission will hold a public hearing before adopting an MSR and associated sphere update. And then 2.10.8, relationship to spheres of influence, that it aligns with the intent of the law. The MSRs will be used as the basis for sphere of influence decisions. And a sphere update can be considered concurrently with the MSR or at a later hearing. And then finally, last two, 2.10.9, identification of issues and recommendations. MSRs will identify service delivery challenges and inefficiencies and opportunities for improved coordination or cost savings. And finally, the commission may make advisory recommendations regarding governance, boundary changes, or shared services, but such recommendations are not binding absent a subsequent reorganization proceeding. And the very last one, neutrality and independence. The commission's role is to provide objective and fact-based analysis. MSRs are not intended to advocate for any one agency, but to promote the overall efficiency and sustainability of municipal services countywide. So, are there any comments or questions from the commission?
Thank you very much. We'll go to public comment first.
Like to make a comment in chambers, you can come up to the podium. On Zoom, you can press *9 or the raise hand icon. Mr. Betancourt.
4140 Southside Road. I was told by an individual that is a development agreement part of LAFCO, or any discussion on that?
We're not allowed to respond to questions in public comment.
Pardon?
We're not allowed to respond to questions during public comment. You have 2.5 minutes.
No other public comment.
All right. we'll bring it back to the commission. Any comments or questions?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Thanks for this new policy. I wish that it was before the commission in January, so we would all be on the same page as far as how MSRs work and our roles and responsibilities in them. And very fortuitous that we have this before us before we go into the MSR as a next item on the agenda. I thought everything, I didn't have any questions on anything, sorry. And yeah, super concise. I like it. Thank you.
Commissioner Mello? I also good, I think a good job on it, and it's very clear, so appreciate it.
Okay.
Jennifer?
So I'll bring this back in October for consideration for adoption then.
That'd be great.
Okay.
So that would take us to our next item, which is, of course, the Regional Wastewater Municipal Services Review presentation.
So back in January or February, we reviewed a very similar presentation on the Regional Wastewater Services Municipal Service Review and the governance structure options that are included in the review. Obviously, the review has so much more than just governance structure options included in it. There's required content, as we just looked at. That includes, let's see here, service capacity, infrastructure needs, disadvantaged unincorporated communities, growth, financial ability to provide services, shared facilities. And then a component is also the governance and other factors related to efficient service delivery. And that's where the governance structure alternatives come in. Following that meeting, the commission appointed an ad hoc committee to kind of direct or guide or provide input on the municipal service review. It's in public review draft. Actually, now it's in the draft final stages, and that was what was attached to your packet. So the public review draft was released and circulated for 30 days for public review, and we did not receive any. But per the ad hoc committee, there was a desire for a couple of changes and additions to the report. So the report itself, for those that weren't here, covers 5 agencies, being the City of Hollister, City of San Juan Bautista, San Benito County Water District, Sunny Slope County Water District, and Tres Pinos Water District. And then other providers of interest that were also included because they provide wastewater services were the County Service Area 22, which is Cielo Vista, and County Service Area 45, which is Rancho Larios. The direction of the ad hoc committee was for clarification about LAFCO's neutrality. So recognition of the option in this report, of any governance option in this report by itself, does not indicate LAFCO's existing or future support of the option. And that has been added in the executive summary. Clarification that the agencies themselves would need to drive any of the governance options following the municipal service review. So while LAFCO has an obligation to identify the governance options as part of the MSR, there's no obligation by LAFCO or the subject agencies to take action or institute these options. Also, they requested that further review, that it be clarified that further review would be necessary for any one of the options. The options identified are only intended to provide a starting point for conversations between the affected agencies, and any further action toward a change of organization would require a feasibility study, a plan for services, environmental review, and comprehensive application to LAFCO for consideration and possible approval. The committee also asked that the options be consolidated into a table, a summarized table with the benefits and challenges. That's also been added in the executive summary. And then finally, the committee asked that staff solicit input from the agencies and present to the agencies at meetings. Over the next month, staff has presentations scheduled for San Juan Bautista, San Benito County Water District, and Sunny Slope County Water District at this time, and has received a letter regarding the perspective of the city of Hollister that was included in your packet. Okay. Next slide. Okay. As part of the report, we did identify key issues that fed or informed the governance options that are identified in the report. The first and most significant is Hollister's out-of-area connections. We did an audit of all previously approved out-of-area service connections that are in LAFCO's files, and that would be all of the orange that you see on the map. So all of those areas are outside of the city limits and are approved to or are receiving presently wastewater services. There's one just south of San Juan Bautista that was approved for San Juan Bautista as well. And this is most critical because it creates contention due to the concerns about the potential decline in service quality for city residents as wastewater capacity approaches or exceeds its maximum limit. There's also concerns that out-of-area residents are benefiting from the wastewater system that Hollister residents have funded. And in addition to that, there are very strict scenarios under which LAFCO would approve out-of-area service connections, and it has not been the practice of LAFCO in the past to limit these connections. So likely, and with consideration of existing law, many of these connections wouldn't have been approved. Did everyone get printouts of the presentation? Okay, I just want to make sure because it's very light up there. The next slide. It's here. We've also talked about how there's confusion regarding the Hollister urban area and the Hollister service area or urban service area. The Hollister urban area spans about 20 square miles and includes both incorporated and nearby unincorporated land, serving as a planning tool. It's referenced in key water and infrastructure plans. While the urban service areas are expected to receive urban services within 5 years under a city's capital improvement plan, Hollister's urban service area was eliminated in 2003 by San Benito LAFCO and removed from LAFCO's policies in 2024 due to concerns over its size and inefficiency in promoting orderly growth and service provision. So this issue of the two terms actually being used interchangeably needs to be addressed. Also, there's city-county coordination challenges. San Benito County and the city of Hollister have been challenged to reach an agreement regarding wastewater services for potential development adjacent to or surrounding the city. As a result, the county's been unable to approve new developments as there won't be adequate wastewater facilities for the newly approved developments as outlined in the county general plan, which requires that the new development meet all county requirements for adequate wastewater collection, treatment, and disposal prior to project approval. Okay. Another issue is the San Juan Bautista sphere of influence and urban growth boundary. It was updated in the 2016 general plan for the city, but never formally approved by LAFCO. So presently they are operating under the 1998 sphere of influence. This will be addressed in the city MSR though. County Service Area 22. A little background for the commission is that LAFCO's approved 2 applications related to CSA 22 in the last year. First, it found that the city of Hollister's application for out-of-agency agreements to provide treatment to Sunny Slope for the collected wastewater in CSA 22 was exempt from LAFCO consideration, as it's an agreement between 2 public agencies. And the other one was following connection to Sunny Slope system, LAFCO approved divestment of wastewater services by the CSA. So it's now an inactive district. And then CSA 45 was taken over by a homeowners association. So the CSA is considered inactive at this point. So it should be dissolved. Okay. Next slide. And this is the beginning of the options. So these options identified, particularly here, and these multi-agency options, were identified to focus on means to address 2 of the key issues. One is services for those areas within the vicinity of City of Hollister where connections have been approved or may be needed, but that do not meet the criteria for service outside the city limits. And the second is appropriate joint pre-planning by the City of Hollister and the County of San Benito for existing and anticipated development to clearly indicate where wastewater services will be provided and where development will be accepted by both land use authorities. So given those 2 issues, these are the options that were identified. The first being formation of a regional sanitation district. This process would be very similar to the formation of the fire district that's currently underway. So it would be formation of an entirely new district with the boundaries drawn as the stakeholders desire. In this scenario, though, one of the challenges is that if the sanitary district needed to develop its own infrastructure, or if there was a way that it could make use of City of Hollister infrastructure without having to make such a major investment upon formation. The City of Hollister did send a letter to LAFCO in May indicating that the city does not support the creation of a regional wastewater plant that would utilize existing city infrastructure. So kind of eliminates that as an option. The next one is formation of a joint powers authority with the agencies involved being dependent on what type of JPA is formed. But the formation of a JPA, one of the major benefits is that it does not require LAFCO approval. and it can meet the needs of the stakeholders and can essentially be used to provide for collaborative activities of any type, whether it be for planning, for treatment. In any case, it's dependent on the needs of the agencies. And then the next slide. This option is establishing a subsidiary district. It may be a better option to a regional sanitary district because it can extend outside of the city boundary, but the governing body would be the city council. So a subsidiary district is a district for which a city council is designated as the board of directors for the district. At least 70% of the district's land area and number of registered voters must be within the city limits for a district to become a subsidiary district. And then another option is, as we've already discussed, retiring the Hollister Urban Service Area. This part of the option is really up to the city to update its planning documents to retire that urban service area and possibly evaluate and possibly rename or retire the Hollister Urban Area. The next slide. There's one final option regarding kind of regionalization or joint planning, as it were, between multiple agencies. And this is between the City of Hollister and county proxy. And I say that because there needs to be a service provider. So the county buys a portion of Hollister's capacity to provide service to new developments and out-of-area connections. And either San Benito County Water District activates its latent powers to provide wastewater services and act as a mechanism for service provision, or formation of a county service area as a mechanism for service provision. This is because the county is not a wastewater service provider. So there needs to be some kind of mechanism for the areas outside of the city limits. I did add one further challenge here to this slide, and it's that it's possibly cost prohibitive. I know that was discussed before. Okay, and the next slide is just ensuring that sphere aligns with the city planning documents and getting that approved by LAFCO to formalize it. And the next slide is consolidation or annexation of Tres Pinos Water District to Sunny Slope County Water District. Right now, the two entities are in the process of Sunny Slope annexing Tres Pinos territory to take over water services. However, wastewater services are also struggling for Tres Pinos, and that in the interest of efficiency, it should be considered whether Sunny Slope can take on the wastewater services as well. Okay, and the next slide. Dissolution of CSA 22 because it's inactive, and the next slide says the same thing for CSA 45, both being inactive. And the last slide is stakeholder comments we've received so far, and it's just been from the City of Hollister. Saying exactly what I've already said, that they do not support the creation of a regional wastewater plant that would use city infrastructure. So next steps at this point would be to complete presentations to the stakeholders before the next LAFCO meeting, incorporate feedback from the agencies into the report, whether it be as an exhibit at the end of the report or as part of the conversation or discussion analysis regarding the options themselves. Set public hearing to consider approval for October 9th. And I do want to emphasize that the approval is only for the determinations that are at the end of each chapter. So the approval, I wish I could share my screen. There's a bulleted list at the end of each chapter for each agency of the required determinations that are codified in the government code. So it would be a resolution that you'd be considering with reference to those determinations. Following approval, LAFCO could distribute copies of the report to stakeholders and other oversight agencies, like the State Water Resources Control Board, et cetera. And the agencies would be responsible for continuing conversations. However, LAFCO may provide support by hosting discussions if it's desired by the commission. And that's it.
Thank you, Jennifer. I had a quick question before we go to public comment. The draft that was handed out, the governance structure options, was not on the agenda. As far as I could tell, I didn't see it.
No, it was added later.
But it's not included on the public agenda anywhere, as far as I can tell.
No.
No, because it was distributed yesterday, so
yeah.
there's copies in the back, and we'll upload it to the agenda after the meeting.
But it wasn't distributed within the 72 hours that's required by law. And I have concerns with, because this is pretty substantial
Okay.
discussion points that we're talking about here when we get into governance structure and the options that are on the table, and to
Okay.
not have, anybody from the city of Hollister here to comment as well. And I wasn't aware of this. I'm not prepared to even discuss this because I didn't have it before the meeting. So I'm just wondering what the implications are of this and having a discussion about governance structure, especially when the city of Hollister has explicitly stated that they aren't interested in a regional wastewater plant.
So I can ask Josh to weigh in, but in my experience, it's a presentation on the content that's in the report that was attached to the packet.
But
So
this-
that
but this is providing
information,
governance structure options that are very specific that the
right,
public has not had the opportunity to weigh, and I have not had the opportunity to weigh as chair of LAFCO before the meeting. And we're now at a point where we're potentially going to discuss these, and I don't feel that's something that's appropriate. I feel like we should likely put this off. Go ahead, Joe.
Chair. So I think there are two issues. I think one is, are we able to move forward under the requirements of the Brown Act? And I do believe the answer to that is yes, because that document was publicly available at the time it was distributed to commission members. However, to your point, if the commission believes that it has not had adequate time to prepare for the conversation, it absolutely can continue the item to a future commission meeting to allow you to do the review you need to, as well as to ensure other stakeholders have the same opportunity.
Yeah, I just think this is very significant, considerations that we're talking about here, and to give input on something like this without being able to talk with residents or anything, or other, anybody really. For me, I'm just not comfortable with it. I mean, my only general take though, is that the city, like I said, the city of Hollister has, said in their letter that they don't even want to do a regional wastewater plant. So a lot of this seems to be fairly moot, and the county hasn't taken up the MSR at all either. And I know, I think all the jurisdictions were going to have the opportunity to provide input so that those viewpoints could be included in the MSR, and the county board hasn't been presented with this yet either. That's the other part where I'm hesitant to move forward on anything until the county board has the opportunity to provide its perspective which we agreed to would be part of the MSR.
Right. So when I was describing next steps, I was talking about presenting to the various stakeholders, and this was the exact presentation that I was going to be doing to them. And I have scheduled the 3 presentations I already mentioned. On top of it, the table and options that are in this presentation is directly out of the report that was provided in the packet. So the information is all there, and it's been distributed for public comment twice now. So I understand, and that's what the purpose of this meeting is for discussion purposes and to provide feedback, and you're not considering or adopting anything at this time.
I got it. And I'm just giving my viewpoint is, I especially think the city of Hollister should be here if we're going to have a reasonable discussion about how we may move forward, or having input as LAFCO, and not having Hollister here, I just think really creates a void in the discussion, especially since it's their wastewater plant.
Chair?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. So this is the governance. This is taken right off of page 17, starting on page 17 of the MSR of the document that we received.
Yes.
And as far as whomever was on was it yourself?
Yeah.
And was
Or
it
Stevens.
Commissioner Stevens who
Or
was
Stevens, yeah.
commissioner? Because LAFCO, we're commissioners, we don't represent our own jurisdictions. So as commissioners, both you and Commissioner Stevens have seen this. And I understand, I saw the letter from the county, and I understand that clearly they have no representation out here, and that would be the city manager, not the Commissioner Stevens representing the city. So I'm not sure that your points are valid. I mean, if you don't want to discuss it, that's totally fine. But
No, I just
this
think to have
commission has had this since January of this year, and prior to that, this has been out on the internet or the website, sorry, since September of 23,
24.
24. So there has been ample opportunity for lots of discussion on this. And I'm not sure why we're not going forward having a discussion.
I'm just stating my opinion. I'm certainly not the majority here. I'm just telling you that I feel like the entire commission should be here if we're going to have a reasonable discussion about how we move forward with the city of Hollister's wastewater plant. And not having any city representation here creates a void in that discussion.
So the city chose not to come.
I'm just pointing out the reality. So that's all. That's all I have to say. But
And I am as well.
yeah, and we can, if the others have further thoughts, or else we'll go to public comment and bring it back.
Yeah. Well, my hang up is sort of just the city not having a presence here. That's really where I'm concerned. And I understand they couldn't make it, but I'm not trying to penalize them for not being able to make it. So I understand they couldn't make it, but that's where I'm kind of concerned, is that the city doesn't have the city manager or a member of the city sitting here. And so that's kind of what my concern is. We can have a preliminary discussion, that's fine, but I don't want to get, I would like to have them eventually as part of the discussion, is what I would say.
So just to make this clear one more time, and I will continue to do it, Commissioner Stevens does not represent the city of Hollister in these discussions at all whatsoever.
I said city manager as well.
I heard that, and I appreciate that. But y'all keep looking over to that chair over there, and that chair is a commissioner's chair who wears an entirely different hat, and that hat is to, and you can have totally different opinions as a commissioner and as a seated official in your respective jurisdiction. I might think that the MSR for this is great, but as a city official, I will go back to my council and say, I'm not in favor of this at all. But as far as the law goes, we have an obligation as commissioners to do the right thing. So I just want to make that perfectly clear that Commissioner Stevens does not at all in any way, shape, or form represent or speak for the city of Hollister in this particular aspect. And same for the county with whatever comes before this commission as the county goes. And same for San Juan. I mean, we have something, the city of San Juan has something coming before the commission, and I have to deal with it as a commissioner, not as the mayor of San Juan. So to have Commissioner Stevens here is a loss, but she doesn't represent the city. So not having somebody from the city represented here is a disservice to this committee. And it's a shame that they didn't show up. But they did provide a letter, though.
Okay, great. Public comment? Want to go to public comment, or do you want to come back? Okay, since we all spoke, I want to give Commissioner Mello the opportunity. Do we have public comment?
If you'd like to make a comment in chambers, you can come up to the podium. On Zoom, you can press *9 or the raise hand icon. Mr. Betancourt?
Oh, boy. You guys don't know how to take your other hat off and put on your commissioner's hat. And I also found that Commissioner Stevens had the same problem. Miss Mello, or Mrs. Mello, it's easy for her because she's the public person up there, and it's very simple. But if I was sitting up there as a mayor like San Juan or the city of Hollister, I would have a tough, or you guys sitting on the Board of Supervisors. It's a tough job to take your hat off of being a Board of Supervisor or a mayor. You got to realize that. Anyway, that's my comment. Oh, the other thing is, how come the alternate isn't here representing San Juan and Hollister? The thing is, it's very apparent to me you guys aren't doing your homework. Amen.
No other public comment.
Thank you very much. We'll bring it back to the commission. And I would just, like to recommend that we continue this item to the October meeting until we have a full ALCO commission. My recommendation.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Can I just say one thing is that the intent is to get this document to a place where you can adopt the determinations that are in there. So if at this time you have thoughts or considerations or feedback regarding the content, something that will get us closer to adopting it, then it would be good for staff to hear so that it can be incorporated into the report in another draft form. And that's the purpose of this item, is for discussion today. So if you have thoughts on,
What is the
Or
date when this
direction.
would go to the county board,
what was that?
the MSR, for feedback to the county?
The date for your
The
meeting with the
date for the
county.
county?
I don't have a meeting with the county.
So that
There's
was, I
been-
thought, my understanding was that the jurisdiction's perspectives on the MSR would be included in the MSR draft.
Yes.
Okay.
And that is what I'm seeking.
Okay, but the 21 days would be the recommendation of the commission to set the public hearing to consider adoption at the October 9th, 2025 meeting. That's, so
Yes.
we only have one county board meeting
Right.
between now and then.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not on that agenda.
And it's fine. We can push it to the November meeting if
I mean, that's
that's
the
not going
point
to
I'm
be
making, is that
feasible.
we just did agenda review today and it's not on that agenda. So
Right.
we would be considering an MSR document that doesn't have the county boards. That's another reason why, am I missing something? That's another reason why it would make sense to continue the item, because we inherently won't have what the ad hoc has directed to have in the document, which is the jurisdiction's feedback. So we're going to need that before we set a public hearing to consider the MSR as well. And then, to me, that would be another reason to continue the item to October for discussion.
So to that end, moving the October 9th to the November meeting for the other jurisdictions to get it on their calendars. San Juan Bautista has it on their agenda coming up. So I agree with the chair on that one until the other jurisdictions answer the response to have it put in on their to have the presentation put in. I agree with moving because we can't move the meeting to the approval of until November, the November meeting. But as far as the discussion of this, I mean, you stated already that you hadn't even read it, and I don't know where the other two commissioners stand, but I have questions. And
Actually, I have read it. I read it several months ago. I read the MSR.
Okay, and then you stated earlier that you hadn't seen the tables.
I hadn't looked at this
for the governance.
as a presentation that was supposed to be presented during the meeting as an agenda item. The public wasn't aware that this was going to be a presentation. That was what I stated. This is a specific presentation with September 2025 on it.
I don't know, moving it to, I have questions and I can ask those questions offline. Because I have questions. So me asking them offline and moving this to the October meeting is fine when everybody else can be prepared for comment as well.
Anything further? Any other thoughts?
No, that's fine. I like I said, I think we agree we ought to move it. I have no problem. You want to ask questions online or offline, frankly. It doesn't make a difference to me at the moment. So whatever is most convenient for the committee here.
All right. I think that's consensus. We did public comment, so that would move that item, continue the item till the October meeting, and that would take us to the informational items. The first one is 6.1, Executive Officer Communications.
Let's see here for my reports, what we have here. File 2025-550, that's the Best Road Mutual Water Company annexation by Sunny Slope. We had hoped to have it on the agenda today for consideration and approval. However, there is not a tax sharing agreement yet that has been approved. Sunny Slope has approved a tax sharing agreement. We are waiting on the Board of Supervisors to do that. And it was just a tax sharing, a master tax sharing agreement saying there would be zero sharing. Once we have that, then we can move forward with consideration. The other one is the city MSR is substantially drafted, and I'll be meeting with the ad hoc committee regarding the high-level findings and to get direction. And then distributing to them a draft report. And then On our next meeting agenda, we will have consideration of an agreement with the meeting hosts. If you'll remember, we approved circulating the meetings amongst the two cities in the county, and with the idea that the clerks, the cities would be reimbursed at the same, similar to what the county was reimbursed. So we're trying to draft an agreement for that. And that's all I have.
Great. Do we have any public comment on executive officer communications?
If you'd like to make a comment in chambers, you can come up to the podium. On Zoom, you can press *9 or the raise hand icon. I have no public comment.
Any thoughts, commission, questions, comments?
Chair.
Of course.
So the tax sharing agreement for Best Road, that's a zero. It's been agreed upon, but we're just waiting for the county to put it on their agenda.
Right, it just needs to be approved by the Board of Supervisors.
And it's not on this one coming up.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so we're pushing this one back again, another month? Maybe 2? Sorry, that was a comment, that was rhetorical.
So it's my understanding, the 23rd is the only meeting for the Board of Supervisors before our next meeting.
September 23rd. Okay, so potentially it could go on their October meeting, and then it'll come before us in November?
Right, if that's the timing.
Okay, thank you.
I have a follow-up question. Have you presented, like, what's the latest communications you've had with administration?
I spoke with Steve Loop today. As I understand it, legal counsel or county counsel has approved the draft agreement, and the CAO has also reviewed it and approves. So it's ready to be considered, is what I understand.
And that was presented to them when? How far back?
To the two individuals,
Yeah,
it had to have been sometime in the last month.
So this isn't something where the county is just sitting on something and not doing anything about it. This is just process that's going on,
Right.
as I think it's been implied otherwise, but just want to make that clear that nobody's delaying anything here. It sounds like it just is going through the process.
Correct. But it's ready to be considered is what it
Okay,
sounds like.
thank you very much for that. Anything further?
I have no comments.
Great. We did public comment, so then that would take us to commissioner announcements and requests for future items. Do we have any? Do you have any public comment?
If you'd like to make a comment in chambers, you can come up to the podium. On Zoom, you can press *9 or the raise hand icon. No public comment.
Thank you very much. We are adjourned.
Thank you.